talk about it tonight with my guest, an economics professor from Texas Tech and Young Voices senior contributor, Alexander Salter, who's up late with me on the Final Five. Welcome to the show tonight.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
You have a piece in the Washington Times, the title, Republicans Who Flirted with Trump's Election Fraud Lies Complicit in His Sedition. That's a pretty serious, heady statement to make.
You know what? I stand behind it. 2 weeks ago, I was actually cautioning my colleagues not to refer to what was going on as seditious. I thought that would raise the temperature of politics. I think that things were getting too heated. But after the violence in the Capitol, there's simply no other word for it. Just because it's not a conspiracy doesn't mean it's not seditious. This was an attack on our republic, and it's contemptible.
We have said on the show many times that in spite of what the president has insisted, and something that the president had said all along, he had said even before the election, if he doesn't win, it must be rigged. He continued that. The courts made their judgment. Court after court, dozens upon dozens, said there was no fraud that would have flipped the results of this election. I know in Pennsylvania, a state that was contested, there was one documented case of somebody voting twice in that a man used his dead mother's identity to vote for President Trump. There have been a lot of lies going around, but it hasn't been just within right-wing media. There have been a lot of politicians up until what we saw unfold the other day, including Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley reiterating these statements.
Yes, that's right. Let's keep in mind, the Trump administration is something like 1 for 60 in court. Terrible record. And that one victory was of no consequence. This has been sorted out by the courts. This has been sorted out by state legislatures. This has been sorted out by audits. There's nothing there. Despite that, these senators, Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz, stood up. They fanned the flames. They contributed to the seditious movement. Make no mistake, even if they are not legally culpable, they are morally responsible.
But many observers believe that this was just an audition for 2024. We know that Josh Hawley harbors presidential ambitions. Ted Cruz ran once, he failed. Pretty sure he would like to do that again, considering the fact that you're going to have a Democrat running for re-election, or at least whatever may happen in 2024. But let's talk about the Republicans who have stood up and said, look, this isn't a matter of voter fraud. We know that Tom Cotton of Arkansas, one of those senators who did not challenge the results. Lindsey Graham, who was very close with Joe Biden through the years, got up, gave a speech, and he was heckled at Reagan Airport as he left town today. The Republican Party, we talk about splintering all the time. We know there was so much focus on how the Democrats splintered when it came down to the Bernie Sanders faction and the Hillary Clinton faction. We've seen this break wide open in the GOP, where you have some who side with the courts, who side on the side of law and order, and then you have another side who are responsible for what we saw the other day.
That's right. I think that there's a civil war brewing just beneath the surface within the GOP right now. And you do have people within the GOP who are standing up for law and order. As you said, there are many members in the House who said, look, this is not happening. This is not fraud. It was not a stolen election. Let's not do this. Senator Tom Cotton, who I normally don't give kudos to, Senator, I say great job tonight. Thank you for standing up for law and order and American democracy. There are people within the Republican Party doing good things. Let no one tell you or try and convince you that the entirety of the Republican Party is bad. But there absolutely are some bad actors. They need to be disciplined. They need to be called out for all our sake.
Alex, last thing before I let you go. People may be watching this and they see a journalist and an academic going back and forth to saying that one side was wrong and that there are stories to be told and people who want to be on the right side of history through all of this. I want people to watch this show and walk away knowing something they didn't before. It is very tough for us to get the facts out there when people are destined to believe that what you or I think is inherently skewed against their worldview.
I would say keep calm. Look at the facts. Make sure you're consulting media from all sides. Especially make sure you're paying attention to the court verdicts and the independent audits. The truth is out there. In this case, one side is right. The president and his allies are as wrong can be.
Alex Salter here on the Final Five tonight. Alex, thank you. Have a good weekend.